So, if you were to just get up right now and sprint for like 90 seconds, your blood would basically look like you were fighting off a massive systemic infection.
Yeah, it's totally wild. I mean, back in 1902, scientists actually looked at the blood of marathon runners right after a race, and they completely panicked.
Because to a doctor back then, it looked like a severe crisis, right?
Exactly. They observed this massive, sudden spike in circulating white blood cells. They called it leukocytosis, and they thought it was this huge immune emergency.
But it obviously wasn't an infection at all. It was just the human body responding to movement.
Right, just pure physical activity.
And, we've heard forever that exercise, quote unquote, boosts your immune system. It's like one of those vague platitudes you see printed on a poster at the gym.
Oh, yeah, totally. But looking at the massive stack of immunological research we have today, I mean, that poster is wildly oversimplifying things.
Which is exactly why our mission for this deep dive is to basically throw out that vague advice. We want to track the exact minute-by-minute journey of your immune cells during a workout.
Because exercise isn't just a general health booster,
Right.
It is a highly targeted molecular intervention.
Right. We're going to uncover the precise cellular mechanisms of how physical activity literally rewires your immune code.
Yeah, it relies on this incredibly intricate cascade of physical pressures, chemical messengers, and, cellular redeployments that adapt instantly to what your body is experiencing.
So as a listener, if you're curious about what is actually happening inside your body when you lace up your shoes and go for a jog, let's start at the very beginning.
Let's do it.
You take those first few strides, your heart rate starts to climb. What is physically happening in your bloodstream in those first, say, 2 minutes?
No, two powerful forces kick in almost instantly. And the first is purely physical. Imagine the microscopic walls of your blood vessels.
Okay, I'm picturing them.
When you're resting, billions of immune cells are essentially just parked along those walls.
Just hanging out on the sidelines, like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, pretty much waiting for a signal, like an injury or a virus. They use specialized proteins to act like molecular Velcro.
Oh, molecular Velcro. I like that.
Right, and that keeps them firmly anchored to the lining of the blood vessel. But as you start jogging, your heart pumps faster and harder, your blood pressure rises.
So the fluid is moving faster.
Exactly. The sheer physical force of that rushing blood starts to tug at those parked cells. We actually call this hemodynamics.
Okay, hemodynamics.
Yeah, the mechanical current of the blood literally starts washing these immune cells off the walls and dragging them into the main circulation.
It's almost like a pressure washer blasting the walls clean.
That is a perfect analogy.
But, if it was just physical water pressure, it would wash everything away equally, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the research, highly specific elite cells are mobilizing, so there has to be more than just the physical current.
You're exactly right. There is a highly targeted chemical alarm system firing off at the exact same time.
Okay, what is a chemical alarm?
The moment you push your physical limits, your system releases a massive surge of catecholamines. You probably know the primary one is adrenaline or epinephrine.
Right, the classic fight-or-flight hormone, the panic button.
Exactly, but the immune system's response isn't a panic at all. It's a calculated deployment. That epinephrine circulates in the blood and looks for very specific locks to fit its key.
And what are those locks?
They bind to receptors called beta-2 adrenergic receptors. And your body doesn't just stick those receptors on every random immune cell.
Oh, really?
No, they are highly concentrated on your most elite, specialized troops.
Looking at the notes here, that would be specific cells called CD56 dim natural killer cells and a type of highly mature CD8 T cell called TEMRA.
Right, those exact two. And when epinephrine binds to the receptors on those specific cells, it delivers a direct chemical command to let go.
How does it actually make them let go, though?
It specifically downregulates their adhesion molecules, things called CD11A and CX3CR1.
So it actively turns off the Velcro.
Precisely. They actively detach themselves from the vessel wall.
Man, if you picture a medieval castle under a sudden siege, the rising heart rate is the physical alarm bell ringing in the courtyard. The blood is moving.
I love that visual.
But the epinephrine is the sealed orders handed directly to the elite captains. It unlocks the barracks and sends your highly specialized assassins rushing out into the open bloodstream, completely ready to fight.
That is exactly what's happening. And they flood the system in staggering numbers. But this mobilization is entirely transient.
Meaning it doesn't last.
Right. The moment you stop running, your heart rate drops, the epinephrine clears out, and those elite cells vanish from the circulating blood just as quickly as they appeared.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap here for everyone listening, because that is a lot of dense biology.
Sounds good.
So bullet point 1, acute exercise uses the physical pressure of blood flow, or hemodynamics, to literally pressure wash the vessel walls. Bullet point 2, at the same time, epinephrine surges and binds to beta-2 adrenergic receptors on elite NK and T cells, turning off their molecular Velcro.
Exactly, sending them into the bloodstream.
Which leads to my question for you, the listener. Think about your heart rate right now. If you were to sprint for just 90 seconds, your CD8 T cells would spike. Where do you think those cells go when your heart rate drops back down?
Yeah, that's the big question. Because they don't just vaporize.
Right. If the physical force of the blood and the chemical order of adrenaline detach them from the walls, something else has to tell them where to dock next.
They need localized signals.
Yeah.
They basically need molecular homing beacons. And those beacons come from the very thing driving the movement, which is your skeletal muscle.
So the muscle itself is sending signals.
Oh, absolutely. During a workout, your muscle stops being just a mechanical engine pulling on your bones. It actually transforms into an active endocrine organ, pumping out chemical messengers called exerkines.
Exerkines. Okay, I was looking at the list of these exerkines in the source material, and one jumped out immediately because it feels like a massive contradiction to me.
Which one?
Interleukin-6. IL-6. I mean, from everything we've ever covered on general health, IL-6 is the bad guy.
It definitely has that reputation, yeah.
It's a classic marker for chronic inflammation. If a doctor runs blood work and sees elevated IL-6, they are instantly worried about metabolic disease or cardiovascular risk. So why on earth is my contracting bicep or quad pumping out a toxic inflammation marker when I exercise?
You've just described the IL-6 paradox.
Yeah.
It's honestly one of the most elegant, counterintuitive mechanisms in human biology.
Okay, explain it to me.
You have to separate the chemical from the context. So in someone with metabolic disease, IL-6 is often constantly leaking out of visceral fat. It's a low, slow, never-ending drip.
Oh, I see.
And that chronic baseline exposure causes a low-grade immune panic that grinds down your tissues over years.
Like leaving the stove burner on simmer all day until the pot eventually scorches?
A perfect comparison. But muscle-derived IL-6 during a run is a massive acute spike that completely resolves within a few hours.
So it's not a slow drip, it's a flood.
Exactly. And because it's released alongside that adrenaline surge and massive energy burn, the body interprets it entirely differently. Acute IL-6 doesn't cause inflammation.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it actually creates a powerful, short-lived anti-inflammatory environment. It forces the body to release other protective chemicals like IL-10, and it suppresses pro-inflammatory signals like TNF-alpha.
Wait, so a massive spike of a supposedly pro-inflammatory marker actually flips the system to become anti-inflammatory.
It does, and it serves as that homing beacon we were looking for. It grabs those mobilized natural killer cells swimming in the blood and starts guiding them to tissues that need surveillance.
That is wild.
On top of that, the IL-6 travels through your blood, down to your gut and your pancreas.
Wait, down to the gut to do what?
To stimulate the massive secretion of GLP-1.
GLP-1, as in the active ingredient in the blockbuster weight loss and diabetes drugs everyone is talking about right now, like Ozempic and Wegovy.
The exact same peptide hormone. Your contracting muscle uses IL-6 to command your gut to release natural GLP-1.
Which instantly improves how your body handles blood sugar and insulin. That is incredible. The muscle is essentially writing its own prescription for blood sugar control.
It really is.
But IL-6 isn't the only messenger shouting orders. I want to talk about lactate. Because if you play any sport, you know lactic acid is the enemy. It's the burn in your legs. It's the toxic waste product you're trying to flush out with a foam roller.
Yeah, and we have completely misunderstood lactate for decades. It isn't a waste product at all. It's a vital physiological key.
A key for what?
Well, when you push your muscles hard, lactate builds up and makes the environment inside the tissue slightly acidic. And that acidity acts as a mechanical trigger.
Triggered to do what?
It activates these tiny biological machines called pH-sensitive proteases. You can think of them as molecular scissors.
Slicing something open inside the muscle.
Exactly. Slicing open prepackaged microscopic vesicles that are actually full of IL-6. The painful burn of the lactate is the actual mechanism unlocking the IL-6 and releasing it into the body.
Okay, so without the acidic burn, the molecular scissors don't work and the beneficial IL-6 just stays locked away in the vault.
Right. And lactate has a second job in the bloodstream that is even wilder.
Hit me.
As it pours out of the muscle, it interacts with neutrophils. Neutrophils are a type of highly aggressive white blood cell. When they encounter a severe threat, like a massive bacterial infection, they can literally eject their own DNA outward to form sticky, toxic webs to trap the pathogens.
Ejecting their own DNA.
Yeah, it's a biological process called mitosis.
Throwing toxic webs made of their own DNA, that sounds incredibly metal, but also incredibly dangerous to have happening inside a delicate blood vessel.
Oh, it is highly dangerous. If those DNA webs deploy inside your blood vessels, they trigger massive blood clots, chew up the vessel lining, and can even accelerate cancer spread.
Yeah.
Now, think about the state of your body during intense exercise. Your heart is pounding, blood is rushing, tissues are experiencing a micro-tears.
Right. It's chaos.
The neutrophils could easily misinterpret this systemic chaos as a massive infection and start throwing those toxic webs everywhere.
And lactate stops them.
Yes. Lactate acts as an emergency handbrake. It bathes the neutrophils and chemically suppresses their ability to undergo mitosis. It protects your cardiovascular system from friendly fire while the blood is pumping at maximum volume.
Wow. And there's one more exerkine we have to touch on here, oncostatin M, or OSM.
Ah, yeah.
It's an IL-6 family cytokine produced in the muscle, and reading this, it acts almost like a biological tractor beam. It uses chemical breadcrumbs, specifically chemokines like CCL2 and CCL7, to specifically draw repair cells like macrophages out of the blood and directly into the muscle tissue.
Exactly, to fix the micro-tears you just caused.
Yeah.
It ensures that the damage of the workout translates directly into recovery and growth.
Okay, let's pause for our second mini recap. This is amazing stuff.
Let's do it.
So, bullet point 1 for this segment. Muscles act as an immune organ by releasing exerkines.
Yep.
Bullet point 2. Acute IL-6 is completely different from chronic IL-6. The acute version acts as an anti-inflammatory beacon and boosts GLP-1.
Spot on.
And bullet point 3. Lactate is actually a key that uses acidity to unlock IL-6 while simultaneously acting as a handbrake to stop neutrophils from throwing toxic DNA nets. Plus, OSM pulls in the repair crew.
The system is completely self-regulating.
Which leads to my question for you, the listener. Does knowing that your muscles literally talk to your immune system via chemicals like lactate change how you view that burning sensation on a steep hill?
I mean, it completely reframes the sensation of fatigue for me. It's not weakness, it's communication.
But everything we just broke down happens during the workout or a few hours after. What about the person who jogs 3 days a week for a year? I want to explore the long-term chronic adaptation.
Yeah, let's zoom out.
Because looking through this research, the changes aren't just in the muscle fibers. Exercise actually reaches into tissues that seem completely disconnected, like your body fat.
Oh, fat is deeply intertwined with your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
When you train consistently, your adipose tissue, your body fat, changes its fundamental behavior. It drastically reduces its production of a hormone called leptin.
Leptin is the satiety hormone, right? Like, it tells the brain we're full, but it does something else to the immune system.
Yeah, it has a direct line of communication to your bone marrow.
Wait, the bone marrow, the factory floor for every immune cell in the body?
Exactly. Inside your bone marrow are hematopoietic stem cells. These are the raw, unprogrammed stem cells that will eventually divide and become your elite T cells, your macrophages, everything.
Okay, I follow.
Constant high leptin acts like an overbearing manager. It constantly prods those stem cells, keeping them agitated and active.
Which sounds exhausting for them.
It is. When regular exercise drops your leptin levels, it removes that stress. It tells those deepest stem cells to just rest, to remain quietly in reserve so they don't burn out, age prematurely, and leave you immunocompromised later in life.
So it's like chemical quiet time for the deepest stem cells. But I also read there's a physical force at play in the bone marrow.
Yeah, the literal mechanical pounding of exercise. Every time your foot strikes the pavement or your muscles strain against a heavy barbell, that physical force vibrates straight through the bone.
And the cells can actually feel that.
Yes. Inside the marrow, there are support cells covered in mechanosensory ion channels. A major one is called piezo-1.
Mechanosensory, meaning they don't look for chemicals, they actually physically feel the stretch and squish of the movement.
They literally stretch open when they're physically deformed by the concussive force of exercise.
That is crazy.
And when those piezo-1 channels stretch open, they trigger a chemical cascade that tells the bone marrow to start manufacturing a larger pool of lymphoid progenitors, basically ready to deploy immune cells.
Wait, so the physical shock waves of running literally squeeze the cells inside your bones to manufacture a larger standing army of immune cells?
Yeah, it is the body adapting to physical stress by fortifying its borders.
I just love that dual approach. The leptin drops to protect the deepest raw stem cells, but the physical pounding builds up a massive standing army at the same time.
It's brilliantly optimized.
But I want to move to the part of the research that completely blew my mind. We have to talk about the gut microbiome.
Oh, this is fascinating.
Because apparently moving your legs alters the bacteria living in your intestines.
This is arguably the most frontier-pushing part of the whole field right now. Consistent physical training fundamentally alters which bacterial species thrive in your gut.
I like to picture the gut microbiome as this microscopic 2,4-7 internal pharmacy. If you just sit on the couch all day, the pharmacist stocks a certain baseline set of chemicals.
Right.
But when you start training regularly, the pharmacy remodels. It brings in new bacterial staff, and they start mass producing a very specific, powerful chemical metabolite called formate.
Formate is a one-carbon metabolite. And for a long time, we didn't fully appreciate its role. But researchers recently traced the formate produced by these quote-unquote exercise gut bacteria.
And where does it go?
It gets absorbed through the gut wall into your bloodstream, and it travels directly to those elite mature CD8 T cells we discussed earlier.
The assassins that get mobilized by the adrenaline. The formate actively seeks them out.
It physically enters them. And once inside the T cell, the formate acts on a specific genetic master switch called NRF2.
Let's pause on NRF2, because that sounds crucial. How does flipping that switch actually change the assassin cell?
Well, NRF2 controls the cell's antioxidant defense system and its energy metabolism. When formate flips the NRF2 switch, the T cell becomes incredibly resilient.
Resilient how?
It can survive in highly toxic, acidic environments. It doesn't get exhausted as easily. It completely supercharges their ability to seek out and destroy tumors or virally infected cells without dying in the process.
So let's connect these dots, because this is wild. By choosing to exercise, you physically pound your bones to build more immune cells via piezo-1.
Yep.
You lower your fat's leptin to keep your stem cells young.
Exactly.
And you change the bacteria in your digestive tract to pump out formate, which literally enters your elite immune cells and flips the NRF2 genetic switch to make them invincible.
It really demonstrates that you cannot separate the muscular system from the immune system or the skeletal system or the microbiome. They're a single interconnected web.
Time for our third mini recap.
Go for it.
Bullet point 1. Chronic training lowers leptin from fat to give stem cells a rest.
Right.
Bullet point 2. Mechanical force activates piezo-1 to build immune reserves. And bullet point 3. Gut bacteria shift to produce formate, which uses NRF2 to supercharge T cells.
A perfect summary.
So listener, here is my question for you. If exercise changes your gut bacteria's chemical output, how much of that famous runner's high or health benefit is actually coming from the microbes living inside you?
Yeah, it really blurs the line of what is you and what is the bacteria, doesn't it?
It really does. But the ultimate test of all this intricate biology is how we actually leverage it. We've mapped the exact pathway, the adrenaline mobilization, the lactate unlocking IL-6, the bone marrow pounding, the gut formate. How is this knowledge actually changing medicine today?
That's the most important part.
Right, because this isn't just about getting a better 5K time or feeling energized. This is about treating severe, life-threatening diseases in a hospital setting. Let's look at the two massive examples in the research: cancer and autoimmune disease.
Right, let's look at cancer first, because tumors are incredibly good at hiding. They create a local, hostile environment that actively shuts down the immune system.
But in clinical models, particularly breast and prostate cancer, exercise shatters that defense, right?
It does. Remember those natural killer cells and supercharged T cells circulating in the blood?
Yeah, the mobilized troops.
The massive surge of exerkines, specifically that muscle-derived IL-6 and the epinephrine, essentially paints a massive biochemical target on the tumor. It commands the mobilized immune cells to leave the bloodstream and infiltrate the tumor tissue. Plus, it increases CD8 T cell infiltration via CXCR3 signaling.
Wait, via CXCR3 signaling?
Yeah, it's a specific pathway that guides the T cells directly into the tumor bed.
But I thought tumors have shields. Like, they use specific cells to block any attacks.
They do. They use something called myeloid-derived suppressor cells, or MDSCs. Think of them as the tumor's private security force.
Okay, private security.
Their whole job is to suppress the local immune system so the tumor can grow undisturbed. But the chemical cascade of exercise actively reduces the number of those suppressor cells around the tumor.
Oh, wow. So exercise is simultaneously flooding the zone with elite assassins, and it's stripping away the tumor's private security guards.
Exactly. which is exactly why oncologists are increasingly combining targeted exercise protocols with immunotherapy drugs, specifically immune checkpoint inhibitors or ICI therapy.
Because the drugs take the brakes off the immune system, but the exercise actually drives the immune cells deep into the tumor and removes the shields.
You got it. It turns a cold, stubborn tumor into a hot, vulnerable one.
That is a brilliant attack strategy. But here's the massive contradiction that I really need you to explain.
Okay, what is it?
In cancer, exercise acts as an attack command. It breaks tolerance to destroy a threat. But what about a disease where the immune system is already attacking the body way too much, like multiple sclerosis?
Right, autoimmunity.
In MS, the immune system goes rogue and attacks the protective myelin coating of the nerves in the brain and spinal cord. If exercise supercharges the immune system, wouldn't a heavy workout cause a massive autoimmune flare-up?
You would naturally assume it would just pour gasoline on the fire. But this is where the innate intelligence of the system really shines. Exercise is highly context-dependent.
How so?
Well, when researchers look at the EAE mouse model, which is the standard model used to study, multiple sclerosis exercise doesn't ramp up the attack. It actively restrains it.
How does it know to do the exact opposite?
It actually uses some of the exact same pathways we just discussed, but to build a shield instead of a sword. Let's go back to NRF2.
That genetic master switch activated by the gut bacteria.
Exactly. In the context of an autoimmune attack, activating NRF2 reduces the ability of rogue CD4 T cells, specifically Th17 cells, from crossing the blood-brain barrier.
So the blood-brain barrier actually gets reinforced.
Precisely. The exercise creates an environment that physically prevents the inflammatory immune cells from crossing over into the central nervous system. It traps them outside the gates.
So instead of painting a target on the nerves, it hides them behind a reinforced wall.
And at the same time, the antioxidant power of that NRF2 pathway protects the nerves from the localized inflammation that is already there, which drastically reduces the nerve damage and demyelination.
Okay, time for our final mini recap, because just stepping back for a second to absorb that.
That's a lot, I know.
Bullet point 1. In cancer, exercise acts as an attack command, driving NK and T cells into tumors and boosting immunotherapies. Bullet point 2. In autoimmunity, like MS, it acts as a shield, keeping rogue Th17 cells out of the central nervous system.
Spot on.
So listener, notice how exercise perfectly adapts to what the body needs. Boosting attacks against tumors, but suppressing attacks against healthy nerves. What stands out to you about this incredible context dependency?
It's not just boosting the immune system like a blunt, dumb instrument. It's a highly intelligent, normalizing force. It figures out what is dysregulated and pushes the entire system back to homeostasis.
That is just incredible. For decades, telling a patient to get some exercise was like throwing a stone into a dark, muddy pond. We knew it caused ripples, but we couldn't see them.
But today, the water is clearing. We have the map. We know the exact physics of the hemodynamics washing the cells.
We know the molecular scissors of lactate unlocking IL-6.
We know the mechanical squish of the bone marrow via piezo-1.
And we know the gut pharmacy stalking formate, which really leads to a truly science fiction concept mentioned at the very end of the source material.
Ah, the concept of exercise mimetics.
Yes. Now that we know the precise molecular pathways, if we know exactly how formate flips the NRF2 switch or how epinephrine pulls the molecular Velcro off the blood vessel walls, could we put that sequence in a pill?
An actual workout in a capsule.
Exactly.
And not for healthy people looking for a shortcut to skip the gym, but for a patient lying in the ICU, for someone paralyzed, for the frail elderly.
Right.
If we can chemically mimic the downstream immune signals of a grueling, high-intensity interval workout, we could deliver life-saving immunomodulation to people who physically cannot move their bodies.
We could deliver the chemical order without having to ring the physical alarm bell. That is a profound medical frontier.
It really is the future of the field.
But until those exercise mimetics are perfected and sitting on a pharmacy shelf, the most advanced, highly tailored immunotherapy we currently possess isn't inside a syringe. It's in the mechanical force of our own muscles.
Yeah.
We've spent this entire deep dive mapping the staggering molecular complexity of it, but the application is beautifully simple. It's exactly what Hippocrates told his patients thousands of years ago. You have to sweat.
We just finally have the molecular receipts to prove how it works.
Exactly. So the next time your legs are burning on a run, remember, that's just your lactate unlocking your immune system. Keep moving, keep asking questions, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.